Good evening and welcome to Xbox Tavern's X-Pod Tavern, episode 114th on this lovely Sunday evening. I'm Jamie and I'm once again joined by MPV Graham. Let's get straight into it. Graham, come here, please. How are you?
Hello. I am fine.
Are you well this week?
I am well.
Good.
How are you?
I am as ever spiffing. We're not just two of us, we're also joined by the rare unicorn that is special guest Pete.
Hello, good evening everyone, how are you?
Spiffing. How about you?
Yes, great. It's fantastic to be back. Thank you for having me.
And it's a pleasure to have you with us. But of course, it's not just the three of us either. We've also got Scottish Gruff Ross. Come in, Scottish Gruff Ross. How are you?
Hello. I'm good, folks. How are you?
All good.
Spiffing. It's wonderful to be joined by the three of you on this
Feast
lovely
at all.
Sunday evening at 8 p.m.
Ish.
Or episode 114 of Xbox Tavern. Let's get into the news, shall we? Right, I'm ready for a quick nap, everybody. So we're going to talk about my favourite game of all time, FIFA, or as it's now going to be known, EA Sports FC. The rumours were indeed correct. So they finally revealed the new logo and the official title, which is EA Sports FC. And according to Pure Xbox here, they've got a quote from SVP and GM of EA Sports FC, Nick. Oh God, Wolodka, something like that. He says, "This is where the story of EA Sports FC begins. We're building on 30 years of leadership in history, creating experiences that bring global football community together, and continuing to take it into a fan-first future. EA Sports FC." Do we have to shout it because they've capitalized every time?
Yeah,
or
every time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
Like the guy at the start of the EA games, you've got to give it the proper
EA
beats.
Sports FC will be a symbol for the sport, a symbol of innovation and change, and we're energized to show our fans more about the future in July. Hinting at, as they've announced in the tweet they put out there, they're going to drop more information come July. We initially thought it was going to be a release date, or they were going to be released in July, but it seems to be just sort of a proper deep dive into the mechanics and stuff. So obviously this is well out of my wheelhouse, gentlemen. I'm going to defer to the three of you. I'm going to go to Graham first because I think he's probably the biggest FIFA player here. But obviously the name is new. They're still going to have licenses and what have you. But is there anything you're expecting them to change in terms of the gameplay or Ultimate Team or any of the other bits and pieces that whatever it is you lot play on every year?
Yeah, well, it's mainly the Ultimate Team that I play. But yeah, I mean, this was the worst kept sort of rumor. I mean, everyone knew that the FIFA was going to be the last one this year, and the name was changed. The EAFC thing was something that pretty much every FIFA player knew it was going to be changed to anyway. So that is barely news. Things that have been coming out was the sort of changes to the way Ultimate Team is going to be, or the way you purchase packs is going to be changing. And there's a lot of people saying that they're going to copy the model that the mobile version of the game has. So there's going to be a little bit less control of how the packs are bought. And yeah, so that I have not fully seen the FIFA model on the app mobile myself, but people say that that's going to really shake things up on how it's going to look. But that's the kind of the biggest change I've seen proposed anyway.
Okay. And what do you think of this, Ross, as well? Is that have you got any more insights or thoughts on what might change?
It's the thing is, yeah, it's dropping FIFA, but it's still EA, so the game's going to be essentially identically obviously there'll be year-on-year changes, but the game's not going to change massively. I think the bigger story will be when FIFA launch their football game, because that'll obviously have to be in a new engine for FIFA to be playing in that. So I think the EAFC will just continue to do what FIFA do well. And hopefully, they've always said that the FIFA side of it holds them back in certain aspects. Hopefully, by taking the FIFA part of it, they can develop into something better, while still keeping the same enjoyable features that they've currently got.
Nice. And Pete, you're I guess just as big a fan that it is these guys. Anything you'd like to see them sort of change or update without the restrictions, like Ross said, of the FIFA license?
I mean, I'm more of a solo kind of guy. I gave up any hope of EA kind of putting any effort into that years ago. It's all about the cash cow that is Ultimate Team, unfortunately.
Where's pro clubs when you need it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing with pro clubs. I mean, you think the last 2 years it hasn't been cross-compatible, so you haven't been able to. If you've got a Series X or S, you haven't been able to play with the previous generation's FIFA, which is a bit odd. But it's one of those things where they try and push you towards the new gen. But no, the only thing that sticks out to me is I'm quite looking forward to whatever this FIFA game is going to be that Giovanni Vitano said, because that is, I mean, it takes years to build a football game. Just look what happened to
Well,
what was he called? eFootball? That
eFootball.
was awful. Like
E for extra shit.
the thing is, I think it's the most likely group that's going to pick up a FIFA game will be Take-Two, like 2K, and having like the NBA series to go up against Madden and stuff like that. So they're likely going to be the ones that pick it up. And the 2K games do a lot of things really well, but some of the stuff they introduce is don't want to be having like every time the ball goes out of play, it's like here's a 30-second advert for Powerade or something.
Have they? Yeah, obviously you mentioned 2K, but I'm guessing that actually this would be the one time where developers will be kind of ahead, if you like, because they know that FIFA are looking to build a game that's as good as what EA Football was going to be. So whereas FIFA were demanding £500 million, whatever it was, to keep the FIFA name in that game, now it's like, well, actually, you need us more than we need you. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of financial deal was made with whatever developer decides to pick it up.
I'm just trying to have a wee think if there's any other group out there that you would even think would take it on.
Well, I know eFootball shit the bed, like you said, but do you reckon that Konami might try again, like reboot their entire Pro Evo, Winning 11, eFootball, whatever, and with the FIFA thing and say, look, we've got the proper licenses now, and try and get back to the glory days of like PES 5 and 6 and what have you.
I was going to say, do you think there's too much water under the bed where it's like PES obviously took so much away from the FIFA games when PES was in its heyday. And FIFA just like, oh, fuck you, you took all this money out of our pocket. We're not fucking wanting to get in the bed with you.
But they to me would be, apart from obviously, like I said, they shit in the bed, they would be the most logical ones. But then 2K, like you said, have got NBA, golf, wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they would be chomping at the bit to try and get hold of an official FIFA license.
Yeah, 2K I think would be the one that I would sort of pitch my money on if I'm going for a developer to pick up the FIFA side of things at least.
What you think? You got to think now. I think a lot of developers are after it because you think it is the biggest sport in the world.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see who picks up. Like I've already said, you said obviously you mentioned 2K, but could it be someone like Activision just suddenly turns around and go, do you know what? You've got a COD team. Why not put a FIFA team in? And then that falls under the Xbox umbrella once the buyout goes through.
I don't think they have.
I don't think Activision have ever dabbled in sports.
No, that would be a big risk for them to jump in
outside of
but it depends.
Sports like Tony Hawk.
But if they want to go down the live service route,
yeah. Well, that's another question I was going to ask you. Lot obviously, FIFA's a yearly game. To an outsider, they don't change much. I'm sure they change enough to make it worthwhile, what have you. But do you think that with EA Sports FC and then revealing more information in July, they might actually go to not a free-to-play model, but more like you get like the base game and then they continually update it rather than release a new game every year? So it won't be EA Sports FC 23, 24, 25.
I think we're all thinking the same thing. As I think that the eFootball shit the bed so much that it's probably scared EA off doing that.
That's that's why I thought that it needs someone like Take-Two to sort of really submit a competitor, just so EAFC or whatever FIFA release don't just sort of cream off and just keep doing it as it are, just releasing like a £60 game each year. Because at the moment, without the competition, they can afford to sort of run it as much as they want because they're the number one football game at the moment. They need that competition to help drive that cost down.
And on the flip side, something that sort of Pete can attest to as well. Like these sports type games have a monopoly in the market. Like they know that there's going to be a like hardcore following that they can always rely on an income. Like a game like Football Manager, for example, is primed to not have iterations. It should literally just be Football Manager, and then at the end of every season, at the end of every January, they do a transfer update type idea so that all the new players are where they're meant to be. If obviously they can tweak sort of mechanics, put different things in with the game engine, but Football Manager has no reasons to be a yearly release. And I think FIFA or EA Sports FC is very much the same. They probably don't have to bring out a new generation every year, but because they know they can get away with it, there's no reason for them to ever go, well, we're not going to start charging you. We're not going to stop charging you for the game. And every year you're paying out £70 to buy our next generation game.
Yeah, I mean, it's been over 10 years since EA made enough money to be able to release the game for free. So if they haven't been doing it for the last 10 years, they're not going to suddenly start doing it now.
Very unlikely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to an outsider, it sort of makes sense to finally move on to that sort of idea in the same way like Fortnite. I know that's a different beast, but every 3-4 months they release a new season, they load of updates and stuff. And I feel like someone like FIFA or EA Sports FC could get away with every 3 months, bung us 20 quid, we get a whole new roster of like team updates. And
yeah, they wouldn't even have to do that. All they would have to do is they would have to just take a big promotion for their Ultimate Team, whatever they're deciding to call Ultimate Team in this new one, launch a massive promotion every 3 to 4 months that had like some top tier cards in it or cards with unique features, and then they would make their money back, same as the Battle Pass type idea. Fortnite, you can play Fortnite an unlimited amount of hours, get as much stuff as you want by earning coins through doing stuff in game, or you can buy the Battle Pass and get the stuff through that. Exactly same as FIFA, you can grind with coins, or if they were to put this massive big promo out, the amount of people that buy FIFA points or EA points or whatever they're going to be called now to buy packs would subsidise how much they would have to charge for a game. But they will never do it because they've got the benefit of having the best of both worlds.
Having their cake and eating it too.
Correct.
Greedy bastards. So yes,
indeed.
We'll get more in July. Anyone else got any more thoughts and hopes and dreams for this new era of digital football?
I'm curious to see what they think FIFA holds back, because that's always been EA's argument at the side. It has always been having the FIFA name attached to it limits what they can do, and that makes me think that they will have maybe some things that are, I don't want to say unrealistic, but they might have some game modes that are slightly more relaxed, something that's a bit more pick up and play type idea, that they don't have to have obviously FIFA breathing down the neck, having realism shoved down the throat. That's the only thing I can think that FIFA limits them on.
FIFA play.
Well, I mean, the last few years they've had those kind of gimmick matches, haven't they? The kind of the
no rules, long shots, things like that. Yeah.
But they never really went too hard on that. They put it in a little bit, and they did it last year. They had like objectives based around those kind of games, and then they sacked that off really quickly.
Yeah, they had an Ultimate Team for a while, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, they sacked off a lot of that. I mean, they had the events thing where you pick one side or the other. I don't even remember they even doing one this year. Yeah,
it was weird. I remember doing that in 22, where it was like you had two different players and you had to like side with them, and basically the whole community was picked one side. So you had like every Messi player playing for their objectives, every Ronaldo player playing for their objectives, and that just vanished.
It did.
Just no explanation.
There. They've got the objective tab there, but they've never used it.
No. Oh, FIFA, how we love you.
And then so they brought this moment and kind of put half an interest into it.
Yeah. I mean,
moments I thought had potential.
It did have potential, and then they just made it really freaking boring.
Yeah, I imagine it means that there'll be no obviously licensed national teams, will there? Or if there is, there'll be no national licensed World Cups. But I don't think that's what I can see. No one really cares about that, do they? National teams, national tournaments. that's
The
why they're
national
putting
tournaments in the World Cup bit for the Ultimate Team was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I was going to say
that
having
was good.
having
'Cause you
those
had
cards
loan
in is pretty cool.
players, good, but they were only like the equivalent of a loan. You couldn't, after the World Cup was done, you couldn't use them anymore. They just disappeared.
Yeah, but now you've got obviously things like Copa America, African Cup of Nations, European Championships. So now that was a success. They don't need the big World Cup. You know, it's not Europe they've gone out with. It's just FIFA. So they can still use Champions League and that kind of stuff. And I imagine they'll be able to use the European Cups and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't see them. But yeah, well, it's all interesting anyway to see what comes out of all of this. The big change, obviously, being the name, but whether the game will change too much, I highly doubt it. But
I think it will still be called a FIFA for like another year or two afterwards.
Yeah.
Even though it's going to be changed, people will still be calling it as FIFA.
of course they will.
I've got the article up in front of me with EA Sports FC and the logo and the branding plastered everywhere. And I think I've called it like FIFA 5 times in the time that I've been talking about it. Go professionalism.
See, you've got to think of all the poor grandmothers and granddads out there that going into game. I want to buy the new FIFA for my grandson Jimmy, and they'll be like, "But old lady, FIFA doesn't exist anymore." But I don't understand. You know, you've got to think about all these grandparents that struggle so much. That people always refer back to when they're talking about game names and console names and what have you.
Inconsiderate bastards.
I know, poor granny and granddads, eh? They get it, and then eventually, when FIFA does bring out their official game with whoever it may be,
that's fucked.
Get this one, and the grand Christmas is ruined. I don't want this shit. Give me the proper one. But I got you the FIFA. Anyway, that's enough of that. Anyway,
yeah, that really sucks. The new FIFA is now the new eFootball.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? What if Konami buy the rights to it? It goes full circle. That goes full circle.
Just rebrand eFootball as FIFA's.
That's the last time eFootball was any good.
That'd be awesome.
3 the last good football game they made.
Taking it further back for a bit of reminiscent, International Superstar Soccer.
That was the other one I was thinking the name.
ISS.
ISS 64. That's the one I played.
Love
I mean, not very much of it.
Well, the one that Jamie missed that should have played was called This Is Football, and you could.
This Is Football was fantastic.
Yeah, because you could do double-footed challenges. You could literally
and you could dive.
Yeah, you could dive. Yeah.
Oh no, Jay's perfect game would have been a little-known title called Red Card Soccer.
No, I think I did play that one actually.
Red Card Soccer was fucking fantastic. Somebody needs to reboot of that.
Is that on the original PlayStation?
You could play as dolphins, ninjas, whatever it was, and you could just fly kick people in the face. You could build up a special meter, not to score goals, but just to make the tackles that little bit more violent.
I do remember. I think I might have played a demo that was on like a magazine.
Remember
them magazines and demo disc?
Oh yeah,
I think I do remember that name. But yeah, let's bring back hardcore. What we need is like an NFL Blitz or NHL Blitz version.
Blitz the league. That's what we need.
Just bring it on. Give us all the carnage, please. None of this football nonsense. Full on wrestling matches within the game itself. Anyway, gentlemen, if you've got your FIFA and out your system for now, I'm sure we'll get to more football in later on. We'll move on to another a quick story here, and we've got. I'm looking down the list. It's quite a
quiet week.
Quite a slow news week. We've got a few new controllers been revealed.
The new recycle controller is cool as fuck. I don't care what anybody says.
We'll start with that one. So they've recycled it with parts, as the headline says here, partly from reclaimed CDs, water jugs, and other controllers' parts. That makes it sound like some sort of I don't know, human centipede.
Yeah, we can't
like merging them together.
$6 million man. We can rebuild it. We have the technology.
So this post on Xbox Wire says, I won't read it all, obviously, but they start off with, we aspire to create a future of gaming in a world that we want to play in. Earth Day is just around the corner, and it provides all of us with a special opportunity to reflect on how we can improve our impact on the planet. To celebrate this year, we've created an Xbox controller that features recovered plastics with 1/3 of it made from regrind and reclaimed materials. I mean, I don't know how you make controllers and the stuff that goes into it, but 1/3 is good, I guess.
It's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing, and hopefully one day we can work up to fully
recyclable.
fully recycled controllers. But that's pretty nifty. I mean, I must say I'm not a big fan of the color scheme.
Oh, I quite like
It looks like something you'd find like in a recycling center. I guess
It
that's
looks like
probably
something
the
I would
idea.
design in design labs.
I think it's the shade of green they've gone for. It's quite
How many
like a
different
muddy
colours of
brown,
green?
It's the matte color for me. It's too much of a matte. It needs a bit more gloss.
Oh no, I like the
Yeah.
matte.
But yeah, I mean, it's for a good, it's a good purpose, and hopefully they bring this into good colored controllers, and we can carry on from there. And speaking of good colored controllers, we've got a Starfield leak revealing possibly a special edition controller. Which Ross, do you want to take us through this one?
I don't, because like if I have to, then like I'm likely to make a mess in my underpants.
I
Because
mean,
it's fucking gorgeous.
it looks right, but I think this is just going to be one of those controllers that devs do when they launch a new game.
They probably won't be able to buy it, and it'll probably be like sent out to people who like give press coverage to it.
Oh,
yeah, we know. Crush my fucking dreams, Pete. But it's just so cool. Like it's minimalistic, like in its color scheme, but at the same time, it just looks badass with like the Starfield sort of colors on it, and then like the whole tech display on the front. Like you can imagine, like when you first set down in the ship and everything's booting up, and you've got like a heads-up display in the ship. That's going to be all the stuff that's flying across your screen to sit down with. It's just so fucking.
It's more. Obviously, they do a lot of different colors and a lot of different special editions. But this is more in the lines of like the Halo one or the Gears of War ones and the the Xbox One, where it's an actual themed controller. It's not just here's a controller, but brown,
a colorway,
or yellow. This has actually got a nice design to it. It's almost like something like Pop Art would do, like customized to a specific game. They do say on this story they've put an update saying it may not be real. It may just be like a fan.
That's what I mean.
Fan created creation, as it were. But I mean, whoever's done it has done a bloody good job of designing something that, like you said, Ross, it looks like it
so fucking cool.
Would suit the game perfectly.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that one, obviously. So you got a crappy brown green color one that's good for the environment.
Not crap. It's cool.
Potentially fake, really good looking one based around Starfield. So yeah, if you need some
what Jay of the Xbox Tavern podcast, based on Xbox, is saying is, if you want a controller, don't buy the shit that Microsoft and Xbox produce. Buy the one that the cheap Chinese knockoff produces.
Yes, because they look better and they don't
Sorted.
look like they've been dragged through the mud backwards. Yes,
that and Jay hates the environment.
I do. If there's one thing I hate. It's just one thing I hate. It's the bloody environment, eh?
Exactly. They've gone out their way to recycle all those unsold Azeric discs.
Balthazar. See, maybe if they'd done it out of the ET cartridges they dug up ages ago, that might have been a different story, you know.
What they could do is, instead of wasting money on making new Resident Evil remakes, they could just make really.
All
cool
right. Anyway,
controllers.
let's move on from that, shall we? Quick swig of my coffee there. Right. Let's give one more quick one. The Quantum Break has been removed from the store. Fear not.
This is a bizarre one, isn't it?
Yeah, so there was a news story earlier in the week where they said that Quantum Break was leaving Game Pass, which it was. I think we had it on our list last week. But then Remedy, isn't it? Yeah, come out and said that it's only leaving temporarily due to licenses. That, I guess maybe the actors or the music or whatever they use in the game and the TV show aspects probably have run out. So they've taken it off the store, taken it off Game Pass. Once they sort the license issues out, it shall return to both the store and Game Pass. So, there were some PlayStation fanboys going, "Oh, see, Microsoft are removing first-party games." Well, it's not a first-party game, and it's coming back. So, shut your face. All right.
I was properly confused. I was like, "How can a Microsoft exclusive game be coming out of Game Pass?" And then it said licensing. I was like, "How the fuck did they not have the license for it?" But then, obviously, as you read on a bit more, it's like, that actually makes sense.
Yeah. So it's coming back. There's no time frame for it, obviously, but. Who knows? Businesses will, I'm sure, figure this out and get it back to us very shortly, and then we can all go back to not playing it because it's not
Microsoft. The guys that they are, they'll probably
say that when Ian's not there.
Yeah,
they'll probably take it out of they'll probably take it out of Game Pass and then knock it up on like a recurring sale for like 97% off. You pick it up for like £2.50.
And even that would be far better spent on a mud brown controller.
Yeah,
anyway. I know, Ian. Yeah, we should have said Ian's not here this week. Anyway, That's that's enough of the news, I think, for this week. Looking at the list we've got here, I'm sure there are a few other things. There was a big drama around achievements, which I don't really want to get into right now. But just if you like achievements, enjoy achievements. If you don't like achievements, like I do, just ignore them. Don't worry about it. Just forget about it and move on with your life. Ross,
Just have fun when you get them. Like
exactly. Have fun.
don't go out the
Enjoy
way for it.
yourself.
Just like
and
if you get the little notification, just go, oh, I got an achievement for that. Hold the controller, read about why you got it, move on with the game. That's all you need to do.
or just turn off the notifications completely, like I do, and you
Or
only got to
do
do
that.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Perfect. Anyway, Ross, that's enough drama for me. I don't enjoy drama, but what I do enjoy is a good plugin, especially.
It's been a while since you've
from-
had back-to-back plugins.
I mean, what's better than a back-to-back plugin, eh?
Is there any other way?
Exactly. And only because it is fresh in my head, I'm going to start at the end and work my way back this time because Insert Coin Clothing has our promotion that we're running. Xbox Tavern 23 can be used for £5 off all orders over £50. There is some terms and conditions in regards to what you can and cannot use it on, but that'll be on their website. They are currently running their Easter sale at the moment, and I believe our illustrious leader Jay has picked up some goodie bags. Am I right in saying?
I did indeed. I picked up a lucky bag again because they were even cheaper than last time. £2.50 bargain. Some Gears of War pajama trousers and the Ellie Last of Us t-shirt, Pete, the one that you managed to nab in your lucky bag last time. It was
How
on
much did you
sale,
pay for it? How much on sale for?
more than what you paid for it.
More than the goodie bag.
I paid £5 for it, Jay.
This incredible N7 hoodie, down from $49.99 down to $24.99. Great price. Currently in their sale. All the Mass Effect stuff's down to half price, so I may or may not have some new Mass Effect apparel on the show next week, seeing as it's getting any warmer weather and I can actually wear a t-shirt. Discord, link in the show notes below. Jay had a ridiculous game that was up on the thing that nobody else got apart from you. It was like one guest left on your one from 2 days ago, I think it was. It was some obscure game that I had never heard of in my life. Not one that I had heard of and never played, but hadn't even heard of the game.
I don't remember which it was, but yes, I'm sure. It sounds like me. I'm very good at this game.
Yeah, there was
It's been quite tough.
Yeah, the last week has been solid. I mean, the one today, if the one today is the one that I'm thinking of, was quite a good one. I played that game quite a lot.
Never had it.
I only just about made it. I believe we spoke about it just last week or the week before. But anyway, carry on, please.
So that's in our Guess the Game section. We've got a whole section dedicated to the fantastic guys over. What was it? Guess the dot game.
Yes.
Fantastic replays just to test your video game trivia knowledge or video game knowledge. Sorry. Socials are all on the bottom of the screen: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Various different places you can get us on. There'll all be some sort of connotation of at Xbox Tavern or at Xbox Tavern Official. Written reviews can be found at xboxtavern.com. I'm sure Jay will have a list of the ones that we've got going up the current week to come, or ones that have just went up. Apple and Spotify podcast, place where most people listen to the show. If you can jump over there, rate us 5 stars, gets us more exposure, gets us in more people's ears. And last but by no means least, patreon.com/Xbox Tavern. If you want to use your hard-earned money to support us, I think the lowest tier is £2, am I right in saying? So less than a cup of coffee a week, you can help us keep the show running, adding in bits and pieces that we can do sort of through various different things, giveaways, game codes, anything you can do to support us is much appreciated.
Be wonderful, and thank you very much, Ross, for that back-to-back plugging. I feel
More than welcome.
Alive and rejuvenated and ready for the question of the week. We're going to get into it. Special guest Pete, I believe, has dropped us a question. Would you like to read it out for us?
I can. So, as it's Easter and we've got the theme of people rising from the dead, allegedly, the question is, who's your favourite character that has come back from the dead?
I'm going to jump in first because I've just thought of one. I don't know technically if you come back from the dead, but I'm going to go for it. Kenny from The Walking Dead.
Oh, damn it, you ruined mine.
I knew that would
I'm
please
out.
Graham. I was so happy when he appeared in, was it season 2? I think it was, reappeared and you meet up with Clem and then you end up teaming up with him for, the rest of the season. Oh, it's tremendous. So happy to see his little mustachioed face. it was a joy, an absolute joy, and I know that we all share that opinion on this podcast here.
Definitely,
So
and
yes.
being able to save him at the end of number 2 as well was just
Exactly, choosing
chef's
between him.
kiss.
I forget the girl's name, but she had no chance
Exactly.
up against my Bay and Spirit animal Kenny. So I'm very sorry, Gray, but Kenny is my choice because it just popped into my head. Pete, do you wanna jump in with your answer then?
Yeah,
stole
so
yours.
I was going to try and banter Gray and say Kenny, but you beat me to it. So, so my character actually is I went with Liquid Snake. So obviously at the end of Metal Gear Solid 1, he died from Fox Diner, and then he came back in number 2 when I don't know, obviously in number 1, Ocelot. Spoilers from Metal Gear Solid 1 way back in the 90s, by the way. Obviously Ocelot lost his arm, and for some reason they decided to cut off the arm from the dead body of Liquid and sew it onto Ocelot, and then somehow Ocelot, Liquid's kind of, I don't know, either his knowledge, whatever it is, seemed to then take over his body. A little bit in number 2, and then by the time we got to number 4, Liquid was fully in control, and his brother. That accent is great. So Liquid Snake was one of my favorite kind of antagonists. So yeah, he's it was kind of cool to see him back in number 2 and 4.
His accent is spot on.
Yeah.
Graham, I know we've pleased you with our Walking Dead suggestions so far, so please get your own back. Who is your favourite returnee from the dead?
I was trying to think of one that the only one that sort of immediately came to head because I didn't actually research the question is probably Commander Shepard, I guess, just to steal the Mass Effect answer.
That's the obvious one, isn't it?
It is the obvious one. I mean, he would be the top one. I was going to say the Golden Warrior from Guardian Heroes, but technically you don't really see him before he died. So technically he's an undead character, but I don't know if that counts. But for a character you actually witnessed alive before they die and come back, it's got to be Commander Shepard. He's got to be the number one Easter character, surely. His whole resurrection piece. it almost surpasses Jesus' story.
It's a better story than Jesus, to be fair.
I was going to say, I
It is a
know which
much
one
better
I'd rather
story.
read about.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Nice. All right. Well, seeing as I stole Graham's answer and then you stole your answer, Ross, have you got another backup shit selection?
So I do actually have a backup character because based on Pete saying he didn't want me to take the obvious answer, I started doing a wee bit more thinking into it, so I didn't automatically jump to the Shepherd answer. And it's a technicality in some ways, but mine says Kratos. So he's killed numerous times, or at least in the scheme of he's sent to hell by being killed. So yeah, Kratos is mine. 3 different times he's sent to Hades and throughout the course of the games. And by God, he wasn't getting away without saying boy before he died.
How else was he going to grow that magnificent beard?
Exactly. I love it. Instead of this little fucking chin thing that he had, give it the full blown. Yeah.
God of War beard. Nice.
Yeah. A couple of special mentions, of course. If you play Mortal Kombat for the story like I did,
Every
then
Everyone came back.
But actually, in the storyline, I think Liu Kang died, did he, in the story? And I think Raiden's died a few times.
Scorpion. Is he back? He's technically undead.
Kind of, yeah.
Good area.
But also, technically, depending on what path you chose, Liliana came back from the death. Because you could technically kill her in Dragon Age Origins, and obviously she's there in Inquisition.
Yeah, she just appears.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
I killed you, bitch. What are you doing?
Nice. Well, that was a fun little question. Thank you very much, special guest Pete, for once again coming out with that. If you've got your own questions, hit us up on Twitter at Xbox Tavern or in the Discord, and we'll add them to the list.
There is a wee side note on this. Like Game Rat have actually done 10 video game characters who have died multiple times. Maria from Silent Hill 2, Albert Wesker, Jay. There you go. Looking you up.
I was going to mention
Do
Wesker.
you know what? I suppose he has died a few times. And I think about it, but
Ridley from Metroid.
I saw one of them that said Seymour from Final Fantasy. I was like, who's missing Seymour? Who gives a shit about that fucking guy?
Hitachi from Tekken, Dracula from Castlevania, Ganondorf from The Legend of Zelda, The Chosen Undead in Dark Souls, and as Peter alluded to, most of the Mortal Kombat cast.
Most of them.
Nice. Well, thank you very much. Like I said, any questions, hit us up, and we'll go from there. We're going to skip over Project Game Pass this week because we've picked Go to Our Tokyo, which isn't out for another 3 days, 3 or 4 days, something like that.
I mean, I can already tell you it's going to be a 2 out of 10.
A pre.
It's
Fuck you, Pete, and your blasphemy.
I mean, you picked another gimmicky FPS. What do you expect from me?
I don't think I'm far behind you, Pete. I saw the pictures of it. It looks like a
8 out
Yakuza
of
game
10.
if done by someone.
I mean, Deathloop and then Atomic Heart, and now it's like, FPS is here we go.
First person horror FPS. What could possibly go wrong? So yes, we're playing that. Obviously, just if you're not familiar and you listen for the first time, hello, welcome. Project Game Pass is our segment of the show where we pick a game from Game Pass every month. We play it, we discuss it, we give it a rating, and then we move on to a new game in a new month. So yes,
I wonder what May's Project Game Pass could be.
Let me have a wonder. Let me think. I'm not sure. I don't think there's any good games coming out around then, so we'll see. There might be another first-person shooter actually.
Exactly. So that was kind of what I was leaning towards.
Let me think. Let me see. I think there might be one that's getting terrible previews at the minute. Based on
with some
IGN
gimmicks
footage.
involved in it as well, isn't there? Quite a few gimmicks in it.
Special guest Pete,
Those are gang
welcome
beasts.
back. Yeah, fucking gang beasts. So yes, we're going to skip over Project Game Pass for now because we're done with last
It's
month.
not
So
out
we're still
yet.
waiting for this month's one. We'll talk about it next week, hopefully. So we're going to get into what we have been playing this week, and I'm going to go to Graham first. Graham, tell me all about
Yes.
Loop Hero, please.
Yeah, so I beat you to the punch when you thought I might be interested in that one. I saw it sneak onto Game Pass, so I thought I'd give it a go. And you're right, it is the sort of game I kind of get interested in because it's like a neat little kind of game around it. And so it's a game you kind of semi-play. It's more about the kind of construction than it is about kind of playing the game. So you start off as this guy who sort of doesn't remember anything, and basically you start off in a campsite and then you leave and then you're just in this dungeon and there's nothing else around you, just a loop of this dungeon. And what happens is as you kill enemies, you start to get things like weapons or landmarks or enemy spawning kind of cards or tiles, and then you build up the kind of dungeon yourself to sort of give your hero something to do and to unlock more bits and make things harder to get more materials. And then as you're looping around going in that loop, things get harder and more difficult. They kind of, everything levels up, things get difficult, the weapons get slightly better, and you get better resources as you keep looping through. And then it gets to a point where you've either got to escape when you get back to the initial starting point where you get all of your resources, you flee, which means you only get 60% of the resources, or you get killed and you only get 30% of the resources. So the idea is obviously to go with as many of the resources as you can, and then once you get back to your campsite, the kind of story keeps unfolding as you unlock more stuff, and then you can build things which will help you start off. You might start off with weapons, you might start off with extra health, or you can unlock different classes. Like I've unlocked a rogue and the necromancer kind of classes, which give you different stuff that you can equip and different ways of attacking, basically. And yeah, it's quite a neat little game. If you look at it from the outside, it just looks very basic and very confusing. But then the more you kind of play it, the more you kind of get used to how it kind of operates, and then you start to build things in a certain way. I mean, you can choose to make the game as easy or as difficult as you want by just what you place on the actual map itself. So you can just keep looping around killing slimes, but you're not going to get the materials, but you're going to be able to complete all the loops. I think you get to about 9 or 10 loops before it looks like a boss. I don't know if it's like an end boss, but a boss that I've tried to fight like 3 times and it's got rinsed every time. So you kind of have to upskill a little bit before you try and take that challenge on. But
when you die to the boss, you have to start from scratch again, or do you get to carry?
Well, you lose all your you lose 70% of your resources, and then you just take it out and try it again. So the idea is just you keep bringing back resources, build up your home base to unlock more things, which will help you when you next go out on another expedition. And yeah, it's kind of a neat little kind of roguelike game. But I mean, you don't control any of the fighting; it all happens automatically. All you can do is just set up the weapons and armor, everything to give yourself the best chance. And you just look between the weapons, see what gives you the better stats and gives you a better chance of survival. And yeah, I thought it just makes time fly by as you're kind of just planning everything out, and it's just a neat little time killer. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's quite a cool game.
Yeah, I first heard about it on DLC podcast I listened to. A host on there, he was raving about it because he much like you, like it just popped up. Someone recommended it to him one day, and he was like, "Oh, I'll give it a go." He's like, I've lost hours this weekend playing it because I've just got completely sucked into play, do loop after loop after loop, and I didn't even know it was coming to Game Pass. Popped up on Game Pass the other day, and I thought, I think I know who might enjoy this one. Like I said to you before we started, I did try and play it, but my cloud streaming was dreadful in the hotel I was staying at.
Shut the bed.
It's one of those, once you get into a rhythm, you kind of understand it a bit more, and then you get a lot more enjoyment out of it. Like I saw them, Vampire Survivors is a bit like that. It's like you don't really do kind of much, and it just seems like you don't really do anything. But then once you get the hang of what you're supposed to do, it becomes a lot more interesting. And even though it's kind of repetitive, you know why it's repetitive, and you can change it up how you want to sort of improve your own experience. It's kind of like you're customizing your own experience. It's quite cool.
Definitely gonna give it a try this week, and I imagine more.
Yeah.
We'll see how we progress to next week. And notes, and you'll be like, "It's easy," and I'm like, "I don't understand. I'm so lost."
You're dipping in and out there, Jay.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Everybody was being very quiet. While I try and fix this, Pete, Ross, please talk to me about Football Manager because I'm so excited about this part.
Ross, do you want to go first?
I shall regale you with some updates from the network save. So Brighton and Bristol City, Seagulls and the Robins have started their latest season. Bristol City had a good start. They won the European Super Cup, so they beat Wolfsburg in that to start their season off with a trophy. In the league, had a shaky start, shall we say. A couple of draws here and there. Both teams have already played each other. It was the third match of the season. It was an enthralling 2-2 draw at the Amex. A couple of contentious penalty decisions, one for each team. But it was a very, very equal game. Very similar shots on goal. XG was almost identical. So Bristol City, a bit of a shaky start, but still in and around the top 4 European places. Brighton have started the season undefeated. Currently waiting, their next game that they play is in the Champions League against Juventus. So they have won their first 2 group games. Bristol City the same, going strong in Europe. Just the league campaign is a bit shaky. Both safely through to the next round of the Carabao Cup and awaiting the draw for the FA Cup. I think we're now in November of our 4th season. So big moves in the transfer window in January by the looks at it. Brighton look like they're going to be signing Lukaku on a free transfer, 32-year-old backup for up front. They've also got their eyes on, I can't remember who else it was, they're getting on a free transfer, as well as moving on some sort of squad pieces. And the big news is that Man City are in the process of buying Mbappe to partner Haaland up front.
Is this the one where you reset all the players from your 2 teams?
Yes. So we started the whole save basically clearing out every single player from both squads. So we had no youth players, none of the players that played for the team in real life. And as much as it sounds like a lot of money, we gave the teams 500 million to start off the game. And it sounds like a lot of money, but if you think a Premier League squad is 25 players, so it's roughly 25 million a player. So there's not going to be massive big superstars because we had to put them in for what the in-game editor valued them at. So there was no big wonder players. I think the biggest player that was probably put in either of the 2 teams, I'm trying to think. It wasn't anybody. Kyle Walker was a big name at the start. that was probably one of the bigger ones, more expensive. So we had to be sensible in regards to what we started off as a transfer budget, but we've rebuilt the teams from there. Both teams have won a Champions League. Brighton have won a Premier League. Bristol City heartbrokenly lost the league on the last game of the season last year. So yeah, we've turned them into domestic powerhouses.
Nice. And you said your XG was good, but what about your XP?
XP, you don't, close.
Expected points. I know what expected points.
Well, my expected points are undefeated in the league, so that's. I mean, it's not. I've not won every game. I've only dropped one set of points, and that was my draw against Bristol City. Every other team has fallen at the hands of my Triquestra up top of Lorenzo Luca, a youngster from Pisa, who is now signed for Ajax in real life. Karim Adeyemi, who is currently lighting up in the Bundesliga, and Alexander Isak, who I have just spent a stupid amount of money on to sign from Real Sociedad, who are backed up by Paulo Dybala, who I got a free transfer, Lautaro Martinez, and I cannot for the life of me remember. It's like I've got two, Benjamin Sesko and another youngster who I found, Milanovic, who is
a lot of fire player.
A lot of firepower.
People?
Yes, these are all real people.
How the fuck? I can't even remember my name half the time. How the hell do you remember all of these different names?
So I can recite both starting. I can recite both starting lineups off by heart. That's how in depth you go into the team. Brighton have to put the team at the top of the league first. Starts in goal with Ramsdale in goal, who's just signed in the summer. It was Kikir, a Turkish goalkeeper. Left back, we have Josip Gardel. Centre halves, we have Evan Ndika and Wesley Fofana. And at right back, we've got Devin Wrench. Holding midfielder is Nicola Rovella. Two centre mids are Eduardo Camavinga and Jude Bellingham. And the top three I have just listed. Bristol City starting lineup is Onana, who is at Inter Milan in real life. Their right back is Kvaradona, who I don't know why decided to get changed from a winger to a right back. Centre back.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Centre back Scalvini and Bastoni, and left back is Theo Hernandez. Midfield is Gavi, Pedri, Mariba. He sort of changes it around quite a wee bit. James Ward-Prowse, and then up top he has Dusan Vlahovic, who got 49 goals last season, alongside Rafael Leao and Yusufo Moukoko.
So Jay's going to hate me for asking another question, but how are you getting around the homegrown registrations in the Champions League? Because it sounds like you got a lot of foreign players, not a lot of homegrowns in there.
Well, we've sort of benefited from, because when we started the game, so players like Adeyemi were 18 when I signed them, same with Luca. So they have been at the club for 3 years. They are now naturally homegrown and things like that. There has been quite a lot of casualties. A lot of my backups now can't play in the Champions League because they've not been at the club long enough. So I've got a lot of youngsters that have to play in my Champions League squad. But my policy is sort of I sign a lot of 19 to 22-year-old players, and then I tend to move them on to then bring in the next generation of 19 to 20-year-old players. Like when I signed Lorenzo Luca, he was 18 in game. He's only literally just turned 23. Same with Adeyemi, same with Sesko, Camavinga, Bellingham, Rovella. They're all youngsters when you first sign them, so they get homegrown status that way. But the rest, you do sort of have to box clever and where you sign them. So Wesley Fofana played at Leicester beforehand, so gets brought through that way. Devin Wrench is still young, Gvardiol still young, so I think it's under 23 in the Champions League. You don't have to register. So that's how we're getting away with that, and then backups from our sort of youth team to fill out the squad.
You still with us, eh?
I'm taking it all in. Yep. All I heard was a lot of foreign names and squads and top tier star signings. Pete, hang on, let me check my notes you sent me. Star signings. So there's not been big. The big signing of the last season was Bastoni for Bristol City. There was a big outlay for that. It's been subsidised by the
signing that'll be coming in, or the selling that'll be coming in January. I think he plans on selling Rafael Leao to Bayern Munich for, I think he's aiming to get about 140 million for Leao. And he's also looking at selling Skriniar as well, which I would imagine he'll probably get 60 million in that area. So 200 million for two players being sold is quite big money. I'm looking at moving on Martinez, so I'll hopefully get 50, 60 million for him. And then moving on Dybala, who I've only had since the summer, signed him on a free transfer. So maybe 30, 35 million for him as well.
A lot of money. That's a lot of money for people.
And just to put your mind at ease, Jay, Brighton play in a 4-3-3, but it's three narrow strikers instead of wingers. And Bristol City play in a 4-1-2-1-2, so a diamond in the midfield with a holding midfielder, attacking midfielder, and two out and out centre mids.
You know what? I was going to suggest that formation because I feel like any other.
It worked well for them last year.
Jump the game, you know.
Lost the league in the last game, Champions League winners. It's starting a wee bit this season. The 4-3-3 seems to be a better formation this season, but we'll see how it pans out in the course of the year. You can't win the title in the first 3 months. That's the thing, Jay.
But how does your assistant manager feel about this? Does he feel like you've been
My assistant manager is fucking useless. For some reason, in the network save, I couldn't get into the game, so my assistant manager had to manage Bristol City at the tail end of last year. And I had to I couldn't even watch the game. I was frozen out of the stadium. They wouldn't let me in for like COVID or some shitty restriction like that. Click into the game profile and I got bet 4-1 because my assistant manager was fucking running the team. Useless.
Outrageous. Out-fucking-rageous. I feel
I'm scandalous. Absolute shambolic.
I don't even know where we were now. What's going on? Who are we? What's Xbox Football Manager podcast? Pete, what about your saves or what have you got? You got a couple of different things on the go.
Do you know? I feel like I've got to outdo Ross here, so strap in.
Oh God!
Strap one on, Jay.
I'm joking. No, I have had the FM bug back for the last couple of weeks. Been resuming my Albion Rovers save where I'm in season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm in season 6 now, and we're getting closer to the holy grail of reaching the top tier in Scottish football. But I've mainly been playing a network game with our friends Dazzling Gary and Stokeholm Stewie, which has been a bit of a challenge for me because usually when I pick a team to manage in Football Manager, I pick a team that's usually down the bottom and I like to build them up. And so in this save, we've actually picked Premier League teams. Gary picked West Ham because he's a West Ham fan. Stuart picked Everton, and what I did is at the start of the save, you get media predictions of where they think each team is going to finish, and Brighton just happened to be in between those two teams, so I picked Brighton. But no,
wait a minute, I sense collusion.
No, normal squad, so none of this editor crap. It's just all just vanilla stuff going on, updated from the January transfer windows. So funny enough, I had a bit of money to spend, which I've done quite well. Ross didn't put the video up, but I recorded the first game I had. Well, Graham will appreciate this. I had Liverpool away the first game, which is never easy. Whether it's FIFA or Football Manager, they're a super team. No matter how crap they are in real life, in the virtual world, they're still they're a menace. And then my game 2 was against Gary, and my game 3 was against Stuart. So but you'll be glad to hear I beat Gary and then I beat Stuart.
Nice.
Good work.
Yeah. So after how many games we've played 4 games in the Premier League. Gary finds himself in 3rd. I'm 5th. And Stuart is 12th. He's got the power. You'll be pleased to know in my old job, I used to drive past the Amex pretty much every day as well. It's a beautiful stadium.
So, story to do with that is it was the first team that won the Premier League in our original game save. The other person had to buy that person the football top that they managed.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Right in Hove Albion.
Yeah.
And you look dashing in it, sir. I bet you're a bit chilly, though, aren't you?
No. Don't feel the cold up in Scotland.
Yeah, I was about to say, Jay. He's wearing summer wear.
Yeah, it's been quite a challenge for me in terms of transfers, like I was saying, because I don't really know who to buy. Obviously, Stuart and Gareth had quite a bit of a head start in that. And, they're picking up all these bargain players and think, oh, he's pretty good. And like someone like Gray will appreciate kind of Gareth Bale's on a free transfer. Even though he's retiring in 6 months, he's worth a 6-month plunge to kind of try and
Yeah.
improve the squad. Was I've been buying. I bought Ivan Toney actually from Brentford because Brighton didn't have a striker at the start of the game, so I went and bought Ivan Toney. But yeah, it's been a good start. The only person who's probably in trouble is Stuart, whereas he is 12th on the table, but expected points and goals put him down in 17th, so he needs to work out.
He's getting sacked anymore.
But that's the thing is he is actually 12th, but he should be 17th based on chances.
But he's doing better than expected. You're saying?
Yes. Yeah.
See?
Yes.
I listened and I learned.
There you go. He's on it. And I think, I think that'll do for Foot Manager Talk this week.
Well, thank you very much for that, gentlemen. It's my turn now, though, fuckers. Right. I've been playing a little game called Resident Evil 4 again. I finally finished it this week. Get ready, lads. I've been timing you. I'm going to at least double what you know. I finally finished it. It's tremendous, wonderful. My review's up now. I'll give it a 9.2. Fucking tremendous game. Just a couple of slight issues, like I mentioned last week with the controls and that. Although there's been an update yesterday or the day before that fixed, made the control issue a hell of a lot better. It's barely noticeable now. So that sort of strike from the record. Pretend that didn't happen. It feels really great to play. The only issue I still find is really the lighting, which I don't know. It might just be my pickiness. I'm not sure. But the main thing I've been playing since I finished it is the Mercenaries mode, which was also part of the update that they released a couple of days ago. And it is fucking tremendous fun. I'm having a blast playing it. There's 3 levels. There's the village, which you start the game in. There's the castle and I forget what it's called. It's based on the final area of the game, like the shipyard place. I forget the name of it. But and there's 4 characters. There's Leon, there's Louis, there's what's his name? Krauser, and Graham's favorite Hunk. He's there. Hunk. He's a playable character, and if you checked on the official Xbox Tavern Twitter at Xbox Tavern, you'll see some clips and screenshots I put up there over the last couple of days we've been playing it. Hunk was the one I got the best score with so far. I got the full 150 combo. I got something like 1.1 million points. I forget exactly. I thought, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Check the leaderboards. Still not even barely broke top 4,000. It's insane.
I was going to ask actually because I've been seeing those clips of the Mercenaries mode, and I was like, is that Jay or was that someone like Dan playing? Because the shooting was really off.
I mean, yeah, I've not the greatest clips I've ever chose, but I'm so wrapped up in the moment when I'm playing that I forget to record the good bits, and then I get to the end like, shit, I better record something. So yes, I'm having a great time. I've played through the village one 4 times, like once with each character, and every time I did a little bit better. And then, like I said, with Hunk is the last character you unlock, and he's got like a super powered SMG. And his melee attack is like an instant kill, whereas some of the other guys, they might not necessarily kill him when you hit him. And as long as you keep the combo going, there's 150 enemies to kill to sort of clear the stage. And I managed to get the full 150 combo. You've got 2 minutes to start with, but every time you kill an enemy, you get 2 seconds, I think it is. Every time you kill him with an explosion, you get 5 seconds. And then there's also orbs and stuff dotted around to then bump your time up. So I ended up finishing that Hunk run, I think, with like 4 minutes on the clock because I just racked it up where obviously I hadn't missed anyone and I was building up the combo and stuff. Each character's got different abilities. So Leon's more all-rounder. And to be honest, he's probably the worst one because he
looks like a Backstreet Boy.
There's like he does look like a Backstreet Boy, but they unlock what they call mayhem mode. So you've got a bar that gradually fills up, and then once it's filled, you click the 2 sticks, and they each have a different power. And Leon's one makes him slightly stronger and faster, but Krauser's one turns into like a big old Resident Evil villain with like mutated arms, and Hunk's one gives you unlimited ammo. And Leon is just, I'm a bit stronger now. I can do it. I believe in myself.
Start singing.
Yeah, so it's still great fun. And yeah, playing through that village level, I've just, like I said to you last week, I've just been thrown back to like 2005 when we were playing it when we were living together, and just sort of like competing for the times and stuff. They're going to add more levels and more characters. I think there's rumored to be Ada and Wesker so far, but I'd like to see some of the other, like, Claire and Jill Valentine and stuff like that, and Tofu. Yeah, Tofu would be nice. But yeah, the Mercenary mode is fucking brilliant. I haven't played the final stage yet. I played a couple of goes on the castle level, but I prefer so far the village one just because everybody knows it's much more sort of practiced, as it were, because it's right at the start of the game as well. And the enemies just keep coming, and I think it's fucking awesome.
Who's the guy with the slick hair and the leather jacket with like the fancy floral design on the side of it?
That's Louis.
Lou,
Or Luis. He's in the main game as like a NPC that guides you through a few areas. But yeah, it's the first time I've actually got to play with him, and he's all right. He's pretty good. But Hunk and Krauser are the main ones that you wanna go check out.
So
yeah, I'm very much enjoying it.
I'll say so now your Resident Evil talk's coming to an end.
Hang on, I've got half hour yet.
What game would you like to see remake next? Are there any left to remake, or is the remake train kind of gone?
Do you know what?
Because I mean, you said 5. You admittedly said 5 is the worst of the lot, right? So I guess you wouldn't want to see a remake of that.
I would like to see a remake of 5 and 6. 6 is definitely the worst. 5, I'm not a big fan of, but I'd like to see them remake.
Did you play 5 co-op?
Yeah, in fact, I think I went all the way through with Gray. We don't need to get into that again. Don't remind him. We've been through that game.
5 co-op's the way to go.
5 co-op was good. 5 co-op. 5 solo.
You're forgetting there's quick time events in this, Ross.
It just
if you play Joe with quick time events, you'll know why it's not fun.
Yeah,
I
can see why you wouldn't enjoy it.
Resident Evil 4 kind of like perfected that pitch of action and still like survival horror, whereas 5 I think went too far action. 6 just went fucking like horror. What's you on about? Let's just give you fucking insane moves and massive weapons and just.
Did you have an issue punching the boulder?
I had no issue punching the boulder. I was merely experimenting with button presses, and I just took my time a couple of times.
I could push it. That's the one that annoyed me the most.
Yeah, just seeing how slow I could push it. There's no point me rapid fire wearing out my controller, eh? I'd have to buy that shitty brown green one.
No, I just have to keep fucking around while you fluff the easy part.
That's when you need the turbo button. Just there we go.
So like Resi 1, I'm guessing that's Grand. That was where Grand. I can't remember what I was saying now. But that's where Ground Zero was, where it first started, right? So would you like to see it kind of in another? I know one of them is was one of them in an African country? Is that 4?
That 5.
That's 5, yeah.
5, yeah.
So would you like to see it in like a different? So obviously number 1 was the complete outbreak. Obviously now, like you said, it's getting really, really actiony. Would you like to see it go back to its roots and maybe?
Oh no, yeah, we definitely need more.
So where's number 1 set? It's America, right?
Yeah, it's in the mansion.
Yeah, in the suspension mansion.
So like, I'm guessing it's across the world. It's not just an American problem. Like, which is like a random country, like you're in Norway or you're in England.
4 am I right in saying Spain, or it's meant to
Middle
be Spain.
Europe, I think they call it.
Yeah, and then 5's Africa. 6 is all over the place, isn't it? Yeah,
China,
6 all
America,
over the place.
Europe. Yeah,
there is. I said that because it seems like the Resident Evil series needs more characters. It seems like they're going back to the same world.
Yeah, you can't keep going back to Raccoon City.
Oh, but you can keep going back to Leon and Claire and Jill and Chris all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, use the core people. I mean, like, because Village and Biohazard 7, they didn't have. Was it Chris was in it? Eh? Chris makes his appearance in both.
He appeared right at the end of 7, spoilers, and was in Resident Evil 8 quite a lot, yeah.
But obviously, they take it away because they're Ethan Winters, who's the main protagonist. But I mean, they do a fairly good job of that. But then they take that a totally different direction because it's first person and it's a completely different game to the other ones.
Yeah, that took, especially 7, took it way back to survival
7
horror.
took way away.
8 went a bit more towards 4. And do you know what? Playing through 4 remake and stuff, there's a lot of scenes and stuff that reminded me of Village, like the actual Village.
Funny you say that.
And then Heisenberg's factory.
Well,
a bit towards the end of 4, which looks identical. I'm like, oh, I crossed over into the wrong one.
I was watching the trailer that you just put up there, and the bit where Leon's fighting the military soldier guy had the red beret type on. It was very much Heisenberg's factory type area, and then you've got like the big grand staircase, which Lee Dimitrescu automatically just think of her area where you've got like the 4 statues that you need to unlock and she can come down the stairs chasing you type idea. The village area itself, as much as still kind of different, it sets a very similar premise. It was almost like they said, 4 worked really well. Let's now just make 8 similar.
Yeah, it was obviously very heavily inspired by 4.
Not a bad thing, because 8 was fantastic. I loved it.
8 was great. Obviously.
And I've never played 4, which, if you're saying it's quite similar, 8 now makes me more intrigued to play 4.
Yeah, and I mean 4 is the original 4 was like one of the greatest games ever made by large consensus. And this remake is just as good, I would say, if not better in almost every aspect. But
because it's the only one of the
it's
main.
well worth checking.
It's the only one of the main series I haven't played. Like I've not played like all the Code Veronica and the like Time Crisis style games where it's like the light gun type shooter idea. I've played Revelations, the first one. I haven't played the second one. But if you're talking like main series games, I've played all of them apart from 4. I sort of missed that generation because I didn't have a GameCube.
Did you play the one on the Game Boy?
There was one on the Game Boy.
Resident Evil Gaiden, yeah. Barry Burton is his as the main character. It was on the Game Boy Color. I'd never played that one either, to be honest. But
oh wow,
yeah, remakes, Pete. I'd like to see 5 and 6 done properly. But if they were really going to do it, I think Code Veronica is the next one because that. I mean, it's been re-released, but that's the only one sort of from that far back that hasn't had a bit of a touch up. Like the first Resident Evil got remade on the GameCube. Which was after Code Veronica, and then the mainline ones that would be the next. Although it's not a mainline game, it's like the sort of spiritual mainline, if that makes sense. Sort of somewhere in between 4 and 5. Code Veronica next, please, and thank you. But yes, Resident Evil 4, check it out. Mercenary mode is great. They've added some DLC which you can pay for, which people are a bit upset about, but it's nothing you can't earn just by playing the game anyway. And I mean. It's not great, but it's not the end of the world. But the mercenary mode, I'm going to keep going back to that because it's fucking tremendous. And hopefully they'll add
because
more
obviously
characters.
when the Resident Evil Mercenaries was released on the 3DS, it got absolutely panned.
Well,
So,
I mean, the original mercenaries come in. We're going down a history lesson for you, gentlemen.
oh god,
Mercenaries come in with Resident Evil 4 and the GameCube, and it was fucking awesome then. And then they've released it pretty much with every game since, as well as, like you said, the 3DS specific version. But none of them has been anywhere near as good as the original until this one. I don't know what it is about Resident Evil 4's version, but it just wipes the floor with every other Mercenaries mode out there. This is hopefully the sign of things to come. And yes, more Resident Evil for me, please. However, I'm not going to keep waffling about Resident Evil because I will, but I know everybody's had enough of that already. Graham, let's go back to you, shall we? Tell me all about the other game which is on your list, The King of Arcade, which is out in a few days, I think.
I think it may, or I thought it was due out before. I think it was end of March, I thought.
The embargo's up, I know that much, but I don't think it's out just yet.
Oh, okay, that might be what I read then. This game it flatters to deceive, I'm afraid. It's like it's taken a lot of old school kind of games and made like knockoff versions of them. So like I think it's like Space Invaders. There's something else Invaders, like very close to the name. So you can see like Space Harrier there, and it's just the same sort of games, but almost remade in a Roblox style fashion.
That was the worst Streets of Rage remake I have ever seen.
It's really weird. So what they've done is that they've put a very, very flat storyline in there to say, basically, there's this guy who used to be like the most amazing arcade player, but then arcades became a thing of the past, and so he needs to go out and get a job, and so he goes out to get a job, and in this arcade place, and he goes, basically that he can work there, but they're about to be closed down because someone's taken him over, and the only way he can get a job is by beating certain people at arcade games. So basically, he has to go to each of the different machines and beat whoever the bad person's score is and beat their score. And but as you can see, a lot of them are just, it's quite clever how they've done it. Like the knockoff games are quite funny.
They're definitely not hiding, are they?
Yeah, no, they're very, very blatant about it. And that one, you can see it's like a knockoff sort of Guitar Hero kind of style. And it's a very basic, and they've done sort of voice acting, and as a matter of fact that they've used like the Microsoft Sam voice. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but any kind of dictaphone kind of voice where it goes, "Hello and welcome to my game," like really sort of robotic style kind of talking. saying, "How much do I need to beat your score?" And it's that kind of voice acting on it. And yeah, it was kind of fun. But I managed to beat this story and beat all the different guys' scores in like under an hour. So it doesn't take you long to sort of smash through the story, but would take you longer to sort of explore all the different kind of games. I mean, Ian would be happy because I managed to get all but one achievement within that same hour as well. Just completing the whole game. So it's very easy for achievements, very easy to complete the main story. But to find all the other mini games, it's not as simple because there's just stuff laying about everywhere. And like there's a laptop just hidden in an office, but you have to go to that laptop and it's got like a ream of about 10 kind of like Atari rip-off style games on there that you can play through as well. So it's fun for what it is. It's so clever the fact that they've just humorously ripped off a lot of different games, and some play okay, some don't play very well, and it's quite hard to get through. And you think that Streets of Rage one that you saw, Ross, which that was a bad knockoff of it, you think you're in trouble because they surround you quite quickly. And I thought, oh, I'm going to get knackered here trying to beat the high score. You beat like sort of 10 enemies, and then that's the end of the game. It's like, oh, that's all you had to do. I was like, if this goes any further, I'm going to get my ass handed to me. But thankfully, that's where it ends, and you beat the person's score, and that's that part of the storyline over with. But yeah, it's a very short storyline, quite a weak storyline. The voice acting is obviously a robot, so it's what it is, isn't it? It's like a cheapish game for cheap laughs and kind of sort of simple knockoff kind of games that you can play with a second person as well. So some joy to be had, but won't live long in the memory.
Yeah, because I was just looking up while you were talking. The people who made a game called Doug Hates His Job, which I reviewed last year or the year before. And that was like you were saying, like simple but not. I mean, I haven't thought about that game since I beat it in about an hour. And like the actual combat and stuff look very similar to that Streets of Rage knockoff there, where it's just like wobbly sort of people and just
very wonky controls at times.
Yeah. That's fair.
But I mean, there's a lot of them. At least they've put quite a bit of content. This is in there like 20 odd different games to play through. So it is. I mean, the racing one absolutely sucked balls, but just it's a fun for a quick kind of playthrough. I don't know what it was kind of being marked at cost wise, but it was not fun for a bit. It's one for the achievement hunters, shall we say?
Whoa! We don't talk about it and how everybody's too angry about achievements. Whoa!
Well, that will cheer them up if they need something to get all of them in under an hour. It's quite easily done with that one.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on then let's go back to Ross actually, because I want to hear his thoughts and opinions on this new EA PGA Tour golf game.
Yes, with having the Masters on it this weekend as well. Now I've been excited for EA to jump back to the golf scene. Obviously, they had like their Tiger Woods games in the past. Was always like the benchmark since things like Axia Golf and that disappeared. Loved those games when they were first out. They always had as exciting a story type idea as you can have in a golf game. It was always nice to just go around the different courses. They always do a great job at capturing how beautiful the courses have been. Scotsman having St Andrews and things like that on the game. It's nice to see just how well they capture it. So first time they've had it for, I think obviously they had Rory McIlroy took over the sort of Tiger Woods, but when Tiger Woods went through all his controversy, so that bombed spectacularly. And now that's them stepping back in after seeing the success of like the golf club, and then obviously 2K picked up the golf club and then sort of put their own spin on it. So it's nice to see EA come back in it. Don't get me wrong, I really, really enjoyed it. A couple of things that they probably need to work on that doesn't make it ideal. So you'll see like on the trailer there, the way that they do the swing. So they actually put the bar behind you so that you can gauge your swing power based on how far you swing the club back. The problem with that is if you're in the bunker and it's white sand and it's a white bar, you can't see the bar. So you don't know how far up the power bar you are. So you either end up coming up 15 yards short or 30 yards too far because you can't tell where the fucking bar is. Jumped in, first course I played, always St Andrews, just to see what it looks like, and then jumped into the career type idea. So I think it's gone sort of like an underdog story, like your first part of the career is to qualify for the Masters by winning the USPGA amateur title. So you end up playing at Augusta, the sort of the be all and end all of golf. Then I'm presuming you sort of have to build your way up to eventually winning your green jacket at the Masters. But having played at Augusta, especially being able to look at like the real life course at the moment with the Masters being on, beautiful looking game. A respectable selection of golfers. I think a big issue that they've hit just now is golf is sort of fractured into two different factions. You've got the PGA golfers and the sort of live golfers that have this sort of Saudi money that backing them, and they've stepped away from all PGA competitions, so you can't get any of those golfers in game. So that's hampered who they can put in the game, to be fair. But no, really quite good. As you're seeing on screen, like it gives you a lot of information about the types of. You don't blindly go into playing the game. It gives you a lot of information about the type of shots that you can play. There's quite a good tutorial to show you how to get into the basics of the game. There's various different levels of difficulty. So if you're picking it up brand new, you can set it sort of like the easiest mode. You'll see like in the button here how it just shows you the icon. If you set it to the easiest mode, it gives you the actual sort of line that you should be aiming at based on the contours of the green, which is what it's just sort of changing to just now. Same with driving, any of your other shots. If you put it on the easiest, you don't have to pull directly straight back on the button and go forward to make a straight shot. Whereas if you play it at a higher difficulty, if you have any sort of left to right movement on your thumbstick, your shot will pull off to that side. The screen that they've got just now, heartbeat moments, super glad they've brought them back. It happens where if you sink like a massive putt, or if you're going for a hole-in-one, the whole screen sort of freezes, zooms in, the controller starts vibrating massively to let you know you've got this sort of big moment coming. It doesn't always guarantee that you're getting it, but it at least shows you that you're going close to it. So it's a nice flashback to the previous EA golf games, but there is a couple of things that need to work in. Mostly, I would say, the bar that they use to show you the power. I would say that the 2K / golf club games do it better, because that is actually, it just shows you on like the bottom corner that you've pulled it back straight, you've pulled it back to the full distance, and you've went forward straight to the full distance. So one or two wee quality of life changes, but from what I've played so far, given that I've only had the 10-hour trial, really enjoying it. We'll definitely bounce back to this throughout the course of the golf season, because it's like the NFL, for example. When you get closer to the Super Bowl, I tend to find myself playing a lot more Madden, and it'll be the same with this. The Masters is on this week. I'll put it down for a wee while. Then when they pick up to like the British Open and things like that, I'll play a bit more. Players Championship, US Open, Ryder Cup. I'll play a lot more of these sort of games, because I do enjoy a well put together golf game.
Nice. Yeah, I did download the trial later on. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but my sort of guilty pleasure is a little golf game here and there, because not really much of a real life sports person, as you're well aware. But I
mean, visually, it's beautiful. It's a really nice game to like look at. The courses are really well captured. I think it's called Pure Strike. So they've actually got the same sort of idea as FIFA, and they've brought the players in and done full mocap technology, 360-degree cameras to record the player's individual swing. So it captures as close to real life how the player would actually hit the ball as they would do in real life as well. So it's little things like that. The attention to detail is nicer than what 2K have offered. As good as the 2K golf games are, they've added an extra layer of research and development, which having the budget EA have is easy to see why they've done it.
Nice. Yeah, so we'll be checking it out, and we'll get more thoughts and opinions in the future, perhaps. Nice. I'm looking forward to checking it out now. Special guest Pete. Whoa,
Hi.
Wake you up. Hello. Do you want to tell us all about a little game called Diablo 3?
Yeah, so obviously a couple of weeks ago, you guys were on here talking about when we played the beta, and I think we all had a good time. So I noticed a couple of days that the bundle for Diablo 2 Resurrected and the Diablo 3 Reapers of Souls Ultimate Evil Edition was kind of on the store for about 16 quid, and I thought £8 for each. I was like, that's a pretty good deal for all the DLC you get. I tried 2 yesterday. I did really get on with it. Obviously, it's quite an old game now, so it's even though it's been remastered, it's kind of still one of those games. But I started number 3 this morning, and I haven't wanted to put it down, to be honest. I've got to level 17 already.
Wow.
I played it quite a lot, and that's with also trying a couple of other classes as well. After picking the Necromancer class in the Diablo 4 beta, I decided to go somewhere different. I went for the kind of this was sort of the Sorceress. It's now called the Wizard, or it was called the Wizard. And I've been having fun, kind of shooting lightning bolts and arcane missiles. I had a little dabble with the Witch Doctor, who can kind of summon little minions and play with fire, which I'm sure you'll love to hear, Jay. And also dabbled with one that I think it's called the Crusader, which is a bit of a tank, which is it's odd because obviously as a tank you think you take less damage, but I found myself healing myself quite a lot as a tank. But playing as like the mage, the wizard, I haven't had to heal myself once just because of the abilities and stuff. But I've been doing a bit of the story. There doesn't seem to be as many. I imagine this is probably obviously Diablo fans. Anyone listening or watching this will know that wasn't many side quests back then. I think maybe Diablo 4 is the first time there's been quite a lot of side quests added. But I've been progressing the main story, and I've just defeated the Skeleton King, I think he was called. The difficulties, I put it on hard to begin with, and then I knocked it up to kind of I think expert one after that, which gives you I think 150% extra XP, which is why I think I've leveled up quite a lot. But yeah, it's I'm looking forward to it before coming out now, and I think this will time over nicely because I'm really enjoying kind of dungeon crawling and just having a good time. Because I think on this one, I don't know if it changes depending on what class you are, but on one of the quests I picked up something called a follower, who's basically he's a melee guy, he's a tank, so I can just stand back there and fire my missiles, and he's at the front, kind of tanking people. Been having a good time with that. Hopefully, you two guys will jump on next week and give it a go as well. See what you think. See if we can get a bit of a multiplayer game going.
Yeah, that'd be good to give it a try because I did quite enjoy the beta, like you said, that we played a couple of weeks ago. It'd be nice to check this out and give it a go and see how it compares to the shiny new version. Yeah,
it's odd because I'm pretty sure that I played Diablo 3 a couple of years ago when it went on a free weekend, and I did not like it. But for some reason, I do now.
Come back to it.
Yeah.
All it takes is a few years of patience, and you get
and I think it was just having the time to sit down and play it properly rather than being rushed by a lot of free trial or whatever it was. Obviously, the beta for number 4 was kind of over a weekend, so set aside some time to do that. And I've been playing free for quite a lot of day. Obviously, kids went out for a couple of hours with the grandparents, so I got a couple of hours in. And I'm going to probably play some more once this podcast ended.
Very nice indeed. Cool. Well, I did have another game I was going to talk about, but I haven't really played a great deal of it. It's called The Last Worker. It came out, I think, at the end of March, but I've been on holiday this week, so I'm only just sort of catching up to it now. It's all right so far. It's a little bit of a first-person puzzle-ish sort of game. It's quite funny. So I've only done the first chapter, but a lot of very British and a very sweary humour, including a lot of dick jokes and
Your favourite.
Yes, so I'm enjoying it so far. I'm going to get a review of that hopefully this week. But I haven't really been playing anything else because I've been at Alton Towers this week. Wonderful.
Did you go to the swing place? Was it called the Splash?
The swimming place? Yes.
Yeah.
Wherever it is. Yeah. It was good fun.
It's very good.
But that's not Xbox related, so we shall save that for
After Dark.
For After Dark.
Yeah.
Right, gentlemen. That's what we've been playing this week. Thank you very much. It's always exciting to hear all the wonderful games we have and haven't been playing. But Ross, do you want to tell us the games we could be playing coming to Game Pass this month?
I shall. I'll have to rapid fire because there is quite a lot for the month of April. I'll cover the games that were out last week and then catch up to date. So April 4th, we had 2 games. We had Loop Hero that Gray has been playing on console, PC, and cloud, and Goat Simulator, same place. The April 6th, we had Everspace 2, the full release on PC, and Iron Brigade on console and cloud. Ghostwire Tokyo is April 12th on PC, cloud, and console. April 13th, we've got NHL 28 via EA Play on console. April 18th, Minecraft Legends. April 20th, Coffee Talk Episode 2. April 21st, Homestead Arcana. April 26th, Cassette Beasts. And last but not least, April 27th, The Last Case of Benedict Fox.
Nice, some very interesting sounding games, including our Project Game Pass game, Go to Our Tokyo, which we should discuss next week. However, special guest Pete, you're going to have to fill in for Ian's big shoes this week and tell us about the things that are leaving Game Pass.
Okay, so time to break all your hearts. So the first game, well, there's 6 games leaving Game Pass very soon. First of which is called the Rift Breaker. We've got Moonglow Bay, a little game called Rainbow Six Extraction, which I know we played and weren't big fans of. The next one is going to cause me some pronunciation issues.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I'll better you than me.
The Dungeons of Nelbalk, the Owlet of Chaos, Chicken Edition.
Close as we need. Good work.
Chicken. The Long Dark, and Ian's favourite, Life is Strange, True Colours.
See your true colours.
I'm glad you guys did that in Ian's absence. But
That
yeah,
was
those
just
are
for
the
your
games
son,
that
that
are.
was.
Yeah. Those are the games that are leaving Game Pass very soon. So get on them if you want to give them a play.
Right, especially True Colors. Right, Graham, tell us all about things we can pick up for free as part of our Xbox Games, Xbox Live Gold subscription.
Yep. So you can pick up Lamentum, which is available until April the 15th. You've got Out of Space, which is now available until April the 30th, and coming soon on April the 16th, you have Peaky Blinders Mastermind.
Nice. Yeah, go check them out. As we say, they're free. You might as well download them or add them to your list, and you can play them whenever and however you deem so fit in the future. Right, gentlemen, I think we've finished yet another podcast. It's been a wonderful hour and a half with you all. However, all good things must come to end, and that is where we are right now. Thank you very much for listening. If you made it this far, you're a fucking hero. You can find us on youtube.com/SB7official, as Ross said, every Sunday night at 8 p.m.
Yes.
We record this very podcast. If you're listening on audio only, you go see our lovely happy faces and Ross's wonderful football shirt. Yeah, thank you very much. I've been Jamie. You can follow me at Enaxan on Xbox Live or Twitter or wherever else you like to ask Jeeves for. You can find Ross
At Scottish Gruff.
Graham
At Graham Reaper.
special guest Pete.
At Peter Kinich.
So yes, they see you all next week for episode 115th. Goodbye. Be good to each other.
Goodbye.
Farewell.
To y'all.